of the 30-day challenge. And today's theme is faith. And I wanted to talk about two things. My life verse is 1 John 4:18. Perfect love drives out all fear. And then tying that to slow miracles, fast miracles, and miracles in the moment. So many times when we are being or becoming in the process or waiting for something that is our deepest heart's desire, it can feel very vulnerable, very uncomfortable, and if we allow it, very transformative. And recently, as I was listening to 100 Days of Believing Bigger with Marshawn Evans Daniels, she talked about slow miracles and fast miracles. But as I was listening, I was also reminded by the Holy Spirit of miracles in the moment. So when we experience something that we deeply desire quickly, which obviously can happen quickly, and another one of my favorite scriptures is a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. And I'm paraphrasing a part of it from Isaiah. Is not being attached to time, but in the world we live in and in the human experience we live in, there we experience time in different forms, and of course we can impact it, alter it, shift it, both within our faith and in our actions and what is divine timing. But sometimes the time that it takes is the time that it takes. So that is when we get to surrender. And in the fast miracles, there's not a lot of waiting. There's not a lot of resistance. Like, I'll use my example of losing 55 plus pounds, say in a year and a half. That was relatively fast once I focused and the time flew by. And then the first 5 months is where in that time frame, my perspectives of time shifted because of what I was doing, right? But a really fast miracle, or a faster miracle, I would say, is some of you have heard about when I was in Colombia and I was waiting on an Uber. Let me paraphrase. When I was in Colombia, in Bogota, and my phone was robbed and returned to me within less than 10 minutes. And immediately, you guys, I felt like this crazy, like, Holy Spirit thing happening, because I was wearing, like, picture this, little short blonde girl wearing a bandana, sunglasses, a fuchsia type dress in Medellin, Colombia, because I was in Bogota, Medellin, and Cartagena. This was in Medellin, and some sandals. And as I was waiting for the Uber, this guy comes, and I was holding my phone pretty well, but in front of a bank, he comes and grabs the phone. Okay. And I never had anything like that happen in all my years of travel. And literally something like took over. And I started running down the street. It was my first day in Medellin, running down the street, not knowing anything yet about the culture and community of protection of people, especially because of their history and different things, right? I started taking off. So it's like a movie moment, taking off and running and screaming in Spanish, ayúdame, ayúdame, él me robó, which translates to help me, he robbed me. Okay, because I, like, my brain and, like, the Spirit was taking over in that moment to, like, I guess, like, literally inhabited my body and gave me the exact words to say, and as short as possible as I'm running down the street, right? And out of nowhere, but not out of nowhere, all these people started coming out of their shops and different things and helping me and saying, he went this way, he went this way, he went this way. In the meantime, this other guy comes over, or is running too, and they confuse him and think that he's him. And I'm like, it's not him. And even if it was, because they started hitting him and beating him, I'm like, please don't kill anybody on account of my phone, okay? In Spanish. And And I kept praying, like immediately when it happened, I kept praying with the Holy Spirit that I said, okay, God, I don't know what you're going to do in this, but create some sort of miracle, do something out of this in some way, shape, or form. And within literally 10 minutes, you guys, all that's happening, the police come up. The police station in the center of Medellin is like 5 minutes away. And the policeman lets me borrow his phone. And I'm looking up and signing in, or about to sign into my Apple to GPS track my phone. They had the other guy in case he was involved somehow. And in that moment, three guys walk up, like literally like the three magi. Like it was crazy. And they're like, is this your phone? And I'm like, oh my God. And I had like chills all up and down my body. And I'm like, I don't know, in Spanish, let me see. And they pull it out, not a scratch on it. And they said, as soon as you started yelling and running, the guy took off in the other direction after he placed your phone on the sidewalk because he was terrified because he knew what was going to happen. And the other guy was like beat up pretty bad. And I still don't know if he had anything to do with it. Anyway, returned my phone without a scratch. I asked them, like, do you want lunch? Do you want a tip? And they're like, no, just share on social media, share in different ways that it's safe for people to come visit here, right? And I asked I literally was like astounded. And I asked the police officers, I said, has anything like this ever happened to where a tourist or, got their wallet, their purse, something taken and got it returned? And they were like, no, never, not that we know of. And it was like 10 policemen at that point around me, at least at the station, right? So that was a faster miracle, right? So slow miracles are fast miracles, slow miracles, and it depends on how we judge them, right? Or how we perceive them. Like I talked about the example with Colombia, I talked about my example with weight loss. And then we have our slow miracles. And those require such levels of faith and growing our faith to keep believing. For, like in my case, that's say with love, with being a mother, with finances. And, and those are the ones that we really, really, really question our faith and have the opportunity to strengthen the muscles of our faith in the process. And for me, a lot of that has been shifting my mindset. And like I talked about last week in the faith section, increasing my action and my alignment and my discipline. Like I've been up now more and more often at sunrise. And also supernaturally divine downloading on how to divinely align things to speed up time, right? To shift time. You can look at or read things about, quantum leaps and different things. And I've definitely been feeling that. So last but definitely not least, side note, you guys, comment down below, subscribe if this is resonating, where you're shifting with your faith. And I want to send you so much love. And thank you for listening to this point, okay? So last but not least, as I was reflecting, in my little palapa right here, as I walked down the beach and was thinking about the message that I wanted to share, is the miracles in the moment, the miracles in the mess. It's so easy to get caught up on where you want to go and the direction where you want to head or the outcome we desire, that we can miss the miracles in the moment. We can miss the miracles in the mess, right? The things that I'm grateful that you're grateful for today, like all the things that are going great in our lives, right? Like writing down that gratitude list, reflecting on gratitude before we go to bed at night, reflecting on gratitude as we walk or pray or wake up in the morning as part of our morning routine, right? And then the miracles in the mess. The miracle that like you or I still have our right mind in the midst of challenging circumstances. And I know all of you or many of you are going through, things ranging from things with family and marriages that are challenging, to health, to parents and families' health, to finances, to anxiety, to depression, to so many other things in this human experience. So I want to encourage you to release the attachment to the amount of time that it takes, and to find the miracles in the moment, to find the miracles in the mess, to shift your spirit in so many ways. And as always, guys, I want to remind you to create, transform, and inspire because you are born to.